Dr. Cat asks, what do we think about the references to Snowden and the Q drops? I think I've talked about that before. I can't remember, was it on maybe the Vigil stream or one
I
of
think
the
it was in the Vigil, maybe.
that we did. I think actually Fly has a short video somewhere about me referring to Q on Snowden. Basically, yeah, I think we'll leave that one because we've already done a short video about it. So Fly or someone, if you can track down their like Q video and link it to Dr. Cat, that would be really cool. I'm going to try and save my voice so I don't want to double up on anything we've already covered. Also, I should warn you that I'm periodically going to like cut my video, like I'm about to in 1 minute, just so that I can have a big cough because I'm so full of phlegm and nasal drip.
Okay, while you do that, I can just say a brief word about Q while somebody finds the document number we're up to. So you go right ahead. So guys, I think Susie and I are of the same mind on this particular issue, and that is that we both don't really give any credence to what Q has to say. It seems like a kind of a psyop or you know, somebody playing a joke on boomers who have just discovered Chan. But either way, it seems to very much be not credible and something that, in my mind, is an attempt to keep people complacent and painting Trump as somebody who's going to come in and change everything, and therefore we don't need to actually take, you know, our own initiative and change things that we see that need to be changed and need to be addressed. And so I think that it's a really it's a problem, and I think that, but the biggest problem to me about it is not that they're only spouting some untrue information and some really false narratives, like, you know, CIA type narratives, but it's primarily, to me, a problem where you have this complacency being encouraged. Like, oh no, Trump's a superhero and he's just gonna make everything better. Just wait, guys, the storm is coming. And I really dislike that. I feel like we all have to realize that we each have to do something if we want to see this, you know, establishment corruption dealt with at all. Yeah. So yeah, Graylin says, well, Trump changing the deep state, don't see that happening. Yeah. So yeah, Shelley, yeah, that's my voice.
And I feel like we're about to go over old ground again, but we may as well, since we're now having the discussion. So the first thing is that, yeah, great question about how is Q still being talked about. Q followed a classic psyops pattern, which is that he has dropped information that has like come to pass, which is step one is establishing their credibility. So they do that to establish credibility with an audience and to build an audience. And then step two is that then they start to seed into that what they want you to do and what they want you to think. And in that case, I call it a pincer movement. A pincer movement is where they come at you from both sides of the spectrum. So if you go back and watch all of these DecipherYou episodes, what you'll discover is that there is absolutely no way in hell that Snowden is not legit, because the content of the documents it completely exposes the intelligence agency's involvement in every single facet of human society, from academia to technology, to the strategic direction of technology, to the manipulation of history, to geopolitics and diplomacy, to everything that you can imagine. And the content of Snowden did a fantastic job at the Barlow Symposium. I completely agree with you. I did watch that. I watched the entire 4 hours and it was pretty amazing. But the content of the Snowden documents is the proof that Snowden is legit. And I don't mean the content of the documents that have been published by Washington Post, New York Times, The Guardian, or The Intercept. Well, actually, it's not fair to include The Intercept in that, considering these batch releases we study are in fact released by The Intercept. But when you study the batch releases that we do on DecipherYou, which is thousands and thousands of documents that have been released, not just the few that have been reported on by MSM, you discover things that are so incredibly consequential inside them that there is no conceivable way that the intelligence agencies would ever want you to know that information, let alone ever want somebody to leak that information.
And that's exactly why they have such an interest in, through stuff like Q, in making Snowden out to be a CIA agent for the public. That's why that's why you see things like Q pushing that so hard. I mean, yeah. So go ahead, Susie.
Correct. No, that's cool. So the pincer movement is that the Q comes from the right to tell you to hate Snowden. And on the left, they're being taught to hate Assange. And Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are the two biggest targets of the intelligence agencies in the world. So this is what I mean by pincer movement. They pressure the right to hate on Snowden, they pressure the left to hate on Assange, but it both is serving the same agenda. If you come to believe that Snowden is a bad guy, or if you come to believe that Assange is a bad guy, you are pleasing exactly the same people. You're pleasing the intelligence agencies who target and persecute both of them. So that's what I think. So I think that the information that Q initially shares, I mean, that's just so that he can validate himself and build the following. So yes, Q does share stuff that is legit, but Q specifically targeting Snowden is in service to the intelligence agencies. It's what the intelligence agencies want. And then I think there is a tweet somewhere, if I go and find it, where somebody really clever tracked down this tasty morsel. Here it is, and I'll screen share for you guys so you can see it. And this is a tweet by me.
Yeah,
just
I remember that.
So, hey, QAnon people, every time Q rags on Snowden or tells you to investigate people in his life, you might like to remember that the NSA team tasked with hunting down Snowden was called the Q Group. And if you click on this link, it takes you to an article from the week that Snowden came out. I believe it is, or it's back in 2013, this article. This stupid thing will scroll down. Inside the Q Group, the directorate hunting down Edward Snowden. Yeah, it is 10th of June. This is the week Snowden came out. The top secret Q Group has been chasing Edward Snowden since he disappeared in May. Eli Lake on the intel community's internal police and why the agency is in complete freakout mode. So the NSA tasked the Q Group with hunting down Edward Snowden in 2013. So to me, it seems rather unlikely that is a coincidence that this person who is telling the entire right to not to trust Snowden and to disbelieve Snowden and to investigate Snowden and his family and to put pressure on them and blah, 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 happens to be named Q, which is the very same NSA group that was tasked with hunting down Snowden. So that's pretty much when Q's goose was cooked as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. And another thing that, and I think Susie summed that up extremely well, like identifying that left-right pincer movement from that you did. And also, when I hear Q supporters saying stuff like, well, Q tells us that he has to put some disinformation in there and we have to figure it out for ourselves. That is such a huge red flag, guys. Don't ever listen to somebody who lets you know themselves that they're lying to you. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's the end of my rant on that. But there are so many different things that are just absolutely wrong with that. And I'm very sad to see people kind of falling into that narrative and wasting time on the stuff that he kind of leads people into as far as just these rabbit holes and chasing tail type situations. But
right. This pincer movement is something I saw a lot in New Zealand in the media, where they would write a hit piece about someone that they didn't like an active. A classic example actually is the former leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand, my predecessor, who's an incredibly amazing woman named Laila Hare. And when they wrote hit pieces on her, they would seed the same narrative and the same hit piece through a left-wing publication and through a right-wing publication simultaneously, so that they could push that narrative on both ends. So when they're pushing anti-Assange on one end and anti-Snowden on the other end, it's a double win for the agencies, basically.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, if I'm too quiet, I'll actually plug in a headset. Sorry, I'm really croaky as well. Like my voice is just terrible at the moment. Sorry, Slider.
Every single time, we've made a major discovery in these documents, that completely changes the way that we view society, politics, government, and the intelligence agencies, and even the commercial sphere. It is evidence that Snowden is legit, because these findings there's just absolutely no way that the findings that we've made in DecipherYou are of any benefit to the intelligence agencies. And also, time and time again, the findings we've made directly contradict the official narratives of the agency. So, for example, one of the biggest things, I feel like I'm always saying this, but it's so significant. One of the biggest things that you always hear about Snowden from his detractors is, well, he was CIA and he went to the NSA, so he must have been infiltrating the NSA for the CIA, because why else? It's so unusual to go from CIA to the NSA, and the CIA and NSA have a fierce rivalry, and therefore Snowden is a CIA limited hangout operation, blah, blah, blah. But what we discovered in the HR docs in here and in other documents is, and the other thing that says, and Snowden never leaked information about the CIA. Snowden's files didn't talk about the CIA. And what you discover in here is that, first of all, there are thousands of staff members at CIA and NSA who go back and forth between the agencies. Just like even the directors, you have directors of CIA become director of NSA and vice versa. That happens all the way through the ranks. These guys have like a revolving door at every level. So whether you're an analyst or whatever kind of job, whatever position you're in, they move back and forth between these agencies all the time. So it's actually not unusual at all that Snowden went from CIA to NSA. It's actually totally normal for them. The other thing you discover is that there is CIA operational information all of the way through the Snowden documents. So every time someone tells you that Snowden didn't leak information on the CIA, that is a total lie. It's complete fiction. And there's constant references to it all of the way through the docs.
Absolutely. Huge.
Correct.
Definitely.
If someone said Q is fan fiction, that's pretty funny.
Intel agency fan fiction, that might be very true.
And the other thing is that you hear that the CIA and NSA are in competition with each other and they're rivals and blah, 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 blah. But that's also total bullshit. So what you see in these docs is that the NSA collects the information and the CIA acts on the information. And they are literally the left and the right hand of the executive, and they're completely dependent upon each other. The CIA needs the NSA to do what the NSA does, so the CIA can do what it does, and vice versa. NSA just collecting the information is meaningless without CIA acting on it, and CIA can't act on it if it doesn't have NSA collecting it. So this idea that the CIA is trying to take down the NSA, blah, 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 it's like total nonsense. It's complete and utter fiction. And also you notice, like in the Hollywood movies, they push this whole thing as well, this like rivalry between one agency trying to take down another agency, blah, blah, blah. This is total bullshit. They all are dependent on each other to perform their independent functions in order for each other to be able to do what they do. So it's just utter nonsense. So this idea that like Snowden is some like CIA plot like to take down the NSA is total crap. Total crap. The NSA and the CIA are like this. They are like this. So what's so great
about what Susie is saying is that she's backed up by documents. So that's when people say, oh, why should I believe you over Q? You don't have to believe us. Just look at the actual NSA documents in their own words. So that's why
look,
what Susie says has credibility, you know?
what Dominic Easton just said is completely correct. They have individual roles. It's like the military have the Army, Navy, and Air Force. That's exactly right. It's like the Air Force, it's like saying, oh, the Air Force have a secret plot to destroy the Navy. Like the Navy, you know, like they need each other. Like the Navy needs the Air Force needs the Navy. Like they work together. It's completely correct. And I'm just going to cough my head off. I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I'll just expand, just comment on that again, saying that yes, Susie is completely right on all of this. She's had experience with these types of abusive agencies and whatnot, and but the really important thing that people that believe in Q need to understand is that, you know, you don't just take our word for it. You know, what Susie is saying is something that we have seen again and again and again in these documents. And if you you know, are somebody who's on the fence about Q, I would encourage you to go back and listen to some of the old DecipherYou segments and listen to some of the findings we've made, or go to Disobedient Media or Susie Dawson's DecipherYou.com website, and then or look up the Disobedient Media articles on our findings in the Snowden files, because it will be very, very clear based on the evidence from Snowden that is just like what Q is saying is impossible, just as Susie said. So there's a huge difference between evidence-based and just somebody posting on Chan and spinning a narrative. So go ahead, Susie.
Well, once again, you look at who benefits, right? So who benefits from people believing that actually Snowden is some super secret operation of the US government? Like the US government benefits from that, like, because then that means that no, the US government didn't have totally shit-lax security and didn't get totally pwned by someone, you know, with administrator access. Like,
Exactly.
it's like the ultimate defense of them is that, oh, they're just so clever, they thought it all up themselves, but that's total crap.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we had this conversation, because I think it'll be a great segment to turn into an answer that we can then give to people. I think this is a really comprehensive discussion of all the reasons that Q is not something that people should be looking to for answers. So it's a bit more extensive than the one we had made, the discussion we'd had previously on it. So I'm glad that we talked about it.
My life is complete. Crocodile is asking what document we're on.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what we were trying to figure out before we started talking about Q, I think.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is I have still all of the batch 4 findings here in my notes. I tried to write them up this week, but I couldn't actually get access to DecipherYou.com. So
Oh, really?
once I've managed to lock myself out, so it's only temporary. I just have to jump through a few hoops. So once I've got that done, I'll do the write-up. Either that or I'll get annoyed with waiting and I'll just do it on Steemit, because I'm really looking forward to doing that recap. It's going to be pretty huge.
Yeah, and after that's done, I'll do a longer discussion of some of the major findings on the Disobedient Media as well, so that we have.
Dr. Kat, you're totally right that there's like thousands and thousands of people who hate the deep state on the right and who are following Q. I mean, there's people on the left even who are following Q and who hate the deep state. I agree with you, and I watched that audience build, and I watched the way that the techniques that were being used to build that audience, and I was actually wondering, like, where are they going to funnel this to? Like, what direction? Where are they going to shepherd these? They gather together all the sheep, and then where are they going to shepherd them to? And as soon as I saw them shepherding them to attacking a whistleblower, like attacking a deep state intelligence agency target, then I was like, okay, game's up.
All right, I guess I think Susie's coughing. I'm just looking at chat right now and seeing what you guys are saying. Yeah, Alex saying, "Well, no, the disinformation is complete when everybody in the American public, everything the American public believes is false." I forget who the guy was that said that, but I know it was an epic quote. Definitely. Yeah, and as far as and what Susie was mentioning just previously, in response to what Dr. Cat had to say about the fact that there are so many people who do hate the deep state following Q, that's exactly what they try to do. I mean, they're trying to manipulate the people who they know would otherwise be doing everything in their power to fight them or to go against them. So it's in their best interest to focus their tactics not on the people that are just kind of like going about their lives and don't care, but on the people who would actively be wanting to fight the deep state. That's why they're targeting that audience. And as I said in the beginning of this discussion, part of that is to make the people who are concerned about the quote unquote deep state complacent by convincing them that, oh, it's fine, the white hats in the agencies are just working behind the scenes and you don't need to do anything, and just wait for this storm to happen, it'll all be fine. That is another huge red flag to me personally, that this is something that is, as you mentioned, directed at the people who are concerned about the military industrial complex and the unelected power in these intelligence agencies, but that is aimed at negating any action those people might take against those interests, or like some, whatever actual initiative might be taken to create some sort of solidarity behind fighting.
You just made a really great point there, which is that actually Q is like restoring people's faith in the intelligence agencies.
Exactly.
And this idea that the intelligence agencies are like all on the left or on the right, this is total friggin' nonsense as well. Like, what we see in these documents is that all of the intelligence agencies are globalists. They talk about a global network. They want to own every country on earth. They want to operate and have access to every country on earth. Oh, thank you. Propaganda says, you two girls keep me sane. That's so cool. But these guys are the ultimate globalists. And also, they don't give a flying toss about elections or politicians. They don't even care about Trump, because Trump is going to be gone in 8 years no matter what. And exactly, the military industrial complex, they think in terms of like 40 years, 50 years, like all their 20 years strategic planning, documentation, everything else. Like, they don't care whether there is a Democrat or there is a Republican in power. They don't give a toss, because they will be still ruling the roost behind the scenes no matter what. So when you talk about the deep state, the ultimate deep state is the intelligence agencies, and behind them, what's known as the customers of the intelligence agencies, which is the people who are actually instructing the intelligence agencies on what to do and what information to pull out of their giant frickin' Eye of Sauron like databases. So that is the deep state, the intelligence agencies and the customers of the intelligence agencies, beyond the politicians, beyond Washington, D.C. And it's literally a global network. So this idea that, like, don't worry, there are good guys in the intelligence agency who are going to take down Trump or take down Clinton or take down whoever, it's total shit. Total circus. Reality TV nonsense.
It's literally that theater that people talk about when they talk about intelligence agency psyops.
And who do they hate? Who does that deep state, the intelligence agencies and their customers, hate more than anybody? They hate Julian Assange and they hate Edward Snowden. So don't fall for it. Don't ever be tricked into targeting a target of the intelligence agencies, or you're literally just serving the intelligence agencies and serving the deep state. Okay, so let's move on to the documents.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was a valuable talk that we had. And I'm hoping it helps some people. Like, I don't mean to come across as hating people that fall for any psyop. It's just, we want to encourage people to see through it,